If you're hearing this now, it means something went right. I don't know exactly what. Maybe I'm still whole. Maybe I'm just alive enough to tell it. My hands still shake as I try to organize the memories. It's not immediate fear. It's something that stayed, something that didn't leave with me. It all started like any other day. Same streets, same schedules, the same app buzzing in my pocket, the bike complaining at every speed bump, cold air slipping through my jacket, the smell of fuel mixed with old dust. Deliveries don't demand attention. You learn to shut your mind off, check the map, confirm the address, stop, photo, move on, until one address starts repeating itself. Not in an alarming way, just too consistently. The house didn't stand out. It was small, almost shy. Old construction, faded paint, no high walls, no reinforced gates. Nothing that justified the discomfort that hit me every time I slowed down in front of it. There was no movement, never. No curious neighbors, no television noise, no voices cutting through the night, no dog, no cat, no sign of life. And yet, the porch light stayed on. Always. The time didn't matter. The day didn't matter. That weak bulb illuminated the same patch of ground, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch more than they should. The gate. Never closed. Never wide open. Always frozen at that exact point between one action and another. As if someone had started to open it and stopped halfway. At first I thought it was neglect, then coincidence. Only later did I realize my body was reacting before my mind ever could. There were grocery bags on the ground, always in the same corner of the porch. They weren't new. They weren't replaced. Overripe bananas, darkened, almost melted together. They didn't rot the way they should. They didn't disappear. They didn't move. I never saw anyone place them there. I never saw anyone take them away. That bothered me more than it should have. I started speeding up before arriving, getting off the bike too fast, avoiding looking directly at the door. It felt like staring into that darkness was a way of drawing attention. One night in particular, I remember the time because the app logged it 7:32 p.m. I stopped like always. Engine off. Heavy silence all around. I placed the package on the ground, straightened up to take the photo. That's when I heard it. It wasn't loud. It wasn't sudden. It was wrong. An irregular dragging sound coming from inside the house. It didn't sound like footsteps. It didn't sound like an object. It had no human rhythm. I didn't move. My body understood before my mind. I wasn't supposed to be there. When I turned around, the sound stopped, as if it had noticed me. I took 2 steps back. The sound returned. It didn't follow my steps. It anticipated them. I walked toward the bike, forcing myself not to run. The dragging followed me up to the exact point where the porch light could no longer reach. I looked toward the yard. There was nothing. No shadow out of place, no silhouette, no explanation. But on the ground, thin marks cut through the dust. They started near the door, extended a few meters, and simply ended, as if something had decided not to go any farther. In the days that followed, the feeling didn't fade. It grew. Objects seemed to change position, tiny details. Nothing I could prove, but enough to disturb me. The house stayed the same. Light on, gate half open, bags in the same corner, and always the silence. Not an empty silence, an attentive one. Every time I arrived, I felt not eyes, not breathing. Something worse, the certainty that my presence was noticed, as if I were part of a larger routine, something being observed, measured, learned. On the next delivery, my stomach tightened before I even saw the address. My body already knew. I got off the bike with exaggerated care, placed the package on the ground. 2 steps back, the sound returned. Closer, heavier, and this time, sideways. It didn't come from inside the house. It came from where the light couldn't reach. I froze. There was nothing to look at, nothing to point to. But everything in me screamed that I wasn't alone. Breathing became difficult. The air felt thicker, as if every breath was being observed. I backed away slowly. The sound followed. It stopped when I stopped. Started again when I moved. When I reached the bike, the dragging ceased completely. Silence fell like physical weight. I looked at the ground one more time. The marks were there. More than one now. Parallel. Deeper. And they ended at the exact same point, before the gate, as if something knew how far it was allowed to go. I got on the bike and left without looking back. But I knew, even without understanding how, this wasn't over. Not with me. After that night, things didn't return to normal. They couldn't. The house stayed where it always had been. The street looked the same. But something in me had shifted, like a sense that had been forced open and couldn't close again. Every sound started to feel deliberate. At home, the refrigerator humming at night sounded too rhythmic. The wind brushing against the window lingered longer than it should. Shadows stretched in corners I swore were shorter before. I slept less. When I did sleep, it was shallow, dreamless, but tense, like my body refused to fully shut down. And then the app buzzed again. Same address, same delivery window. I stared at the screen longer than necessary, hoping it would change. It didn't. I tried to rationalize it. Old house, loose objects, animals passing through, stress doing the rest. But rational thoughts didn't reach my muscles. My hands shook when I put my helmet on. My jaw clenched without me noticing. That night, the air felt colder. The street light near the house flickered once as I approached, just once, enough to make my stomach drop. The porch light was on. Of course it was. The gate wasn't just half open this time. It was wider. Not enough to walk through comfortably, enough to suggest movement. I slowed down more than usual, killed the engine farther from the house. The silence settled immediately. I stepped off the bike and felt it again, that pressure, not fear, expectation. I placed the package on the ground. Before I stepped back, I noticed something new. The bags were gone. The corner where the old bananas had always sat was empty. Clean, even, like they had never been there. That bothered me more than if they'd been untouched. I took 1 step back. Nothing. 2 steps. Still nothing. Relief almost surfaced. Thin, fragile. Then the sound began. Not from inside the house, not from the side, from behind the gate. Slow, measured, dragging against stone. I couldn't see anything. The space beyond the gate was swallowed by shadow. But the sound moved within it, shifting weight carefully. I froze again. The worst part wasn't the sound itself. It was how controlled it felt. Not clumsy, not random. Aware, the dragging stopped. I didn't move. Seconds passed. Too many. Then something changed in the air. Pressure increased, like standing too close to a large object in the dark. I realized I was holding my breath. When I exhaled, the sound resumed. Closer this time. Not advancing. Aligning. As if whatever was there had adjusted its position to match mine. I backed away slowly. The sound mirrored me. I stopped. It stopped. I took another step. It followed. Still, nothing appeared. No silhouette crossed the porch light. No shadow broke the darkness. Only sound and the unmistakable sensation of proximity. I reached the bike. The dragging stopped immediately. Silence returned, heavier than before. I glanced down at the ground. Fresh marks cut through the dust. Not just one line, several. Some shallow, some deeper, all parallel, all ending before the gate. I left faster than I should have, tires screeching slightly against the pavement. My heart pounded so hard it blurred my vision. I didn't check the mirrors. I didn't need to. I knew it hadn't followed, not physically. The days after that delivery were worse. The feeling didn't stay tied to the house anymore. It followed me. At intersections, I hesitated too long, convinced someone stood just out of sight. At red lights, I felt watched from behind, from angles that didn't make sense. Once I heard the dragging sound near my apartment. I was alone. I stood in the hallway for a full minute before realizing it was just the neighbor moving furniture. But my reaction scared me more than the sound ever had. My body was learning a new language, and it didn't need proof. When the next delivery came through, I didn't feel surprise. Only resignation. Same address, same time. I considered refusing it, closing the app, turning around, but something in me knew that wouldn't end it. Avoidance felt like permission. That night, the street looked narrower. The darkness between the houses felt deeper, thicker, like it absorbed sound. The porch light was on. The gate stood open wider than before, wide enough. I didn't turn off the engine this time. I placed the package quickly, stepped back. Immediately, the dragging. Closer than ever, not loud. Intimate. It came from the side again, but this time it didn't stop when I did. It continued for half a second longer. That was new. I felt it then. Not touch, not breath, orientation. Like something had turned toward me. The air pressed against my back. I didn't look. I couldn't. Every instinct screamed that seeing wasn't the point. Whatever was there didn't need to be visible to know exactly where I stood. The dragging slowed.